Good morning. I'm Kristen McEntyre, and I'm serving as today's service coordinator. And this morning, our minister, Dr. Reverend Leon Dunkley, will provide the reflection, Gardens of Strength, Grace, and Heritage. If you are new to North Chapel, welcome. If you are visiting, please consider signing the guest book at the back of the sanctuary. When Mary texted me to ask if I would be service coordinator, I hesitated. I was conflicted. I always want to say yes to Mary. It's clearly the smart thing to do. And I want to find ways to participate in this community and give back to the church. But my daughters and I had not been to church in a little while. The combination of living outside of town while doing some much needed work on our home, summer visitors, and travel had derailed our routine. The idea of coming back as service coordinator was daunting. Would I remember how to do it? Had the order of service changed? Would you remember me? Self-doubt crept in, and then it grew. I thought about how my meditation practice had also fallen off. Summer had been filled with swimming in ponds and rivers, nightly ice cream trips with cousins, and live music outside. But not a lot of meditation, reflection, spiritual growth. Was I up for the task? Mary texted me again. I knew I had to say yes. And then I realized it was an invitation to come back, to return to a place, a practice, and a community that I treasure. An invitation to reflect and to write. And I realized how lucky I am to have a place that is nurturing, but also challenges me to grow. When I read August's theme, it made me smile and reassured me that I would be fine and that I should keep saying yes to Mary. This month's theme, change can feel uncertain, but it also opens the door to growth, discovery, and new connection. With each step, we practice bravery, choosing to show up, stay open, and keep going, even when the path isn't clear. Together, we are part of a living, interconnected world where every step forward shapes what comes next.
Good morning. I came across that news article about Mia Soto a couple of days ago, and I was just so moved by her story. I was really moved by her passion. She's calling for the end of these detention centers. She was so passionate about it, so beautiful in defense of her family, and so broad in her thinking. It was a much better conversation than we're having right now in political and public life. And I just thought, how do we make that, what's missing for us? Why are we so polarized? Why are we participating in that polarization? How do we soften those edges so we can talk to each other? So I started looking for ways ways when I'm too hard and too political. One of our members a few weeks ago came up to me and said, why sometimes are the reflections so political? It's not okay, you know. And I thought, well, our world is political, and I defended myself and tried to justify. And then towards the end of the conversation, I was like, I didn't really focus on the pain that this person was feeling. And I was like, okay, well, tell me more about like why this is bothering you. And she said, you know, I have family in the military. And sometimes it feels like the church is against the military. And I was like, wow, that's, you know, my father was in the military. I don't feel that way, but I understand the comment. And I thought like long and hard about it. How do we soften those edges? So I found myself in reflection about a song that I'll share with you a little bit later, but I wanted to tell you that the title was inspired by Gabriella and her name. If you look up the meaning of the name Gabriella, it will say strength and grace and heritage. So Gabriella, this one is for you and for your family. Good morning and good Sunday. I hope that this new day finds you well. Today is Sunday, August the 9th, and the title of this morning's reflection is Gardens of Strength, Grace, and Heritage. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, dreamers and seekers of spirit, bold and bashful in the quest. Welcome, wanderers and worshipers here to give the soul a rest. Welcome to all who are just like you and just like me, blissfully imperfect. Beneath the stars above, blessed and beloved in one another's company. Held whole and honored by a love that knows no bounds, to all souls I say good morning. It is good to be together. Life can be gentle sometimes. On dreamy late summer nights after the air has cooled down a little, when we gather in song and laughter, maybe around a fire. Life can be gentle. And unfortunately, life can be brutal as well, like when the air does not cool down. Like at the height of summer heat and summer humidity in August. Humidity is harder in Vermont somehow. I don't know what it is. I used to live in the South where the air was heavier by habit. And here it's much more forgiving, but I just can't take it like I used to. Life can be brutal sometimes. When we lose someone we love, as you may know, I'm going through this kind of loss right now with my respect to my friend Scotty, who passed in early June. Life can be brutal when the heart is hurting, when something precious is taken away, when we lose a sense of where we are supposed to be in the great family of things. We long for belonging, and we lose that sense sometimes. It gets taken away. Hard luck takes it, time takes it. Time takes for a living, but grace returns a little bit that we have lost. When we are lucky, and when we have the strength to recover honestly, when we recover grace and strength, when we recover heritage, when we rekindle heritage, when we redignify heritage. But we can be honest with ourselves. We must be. It's the hero's journey, this loss and this recovery, this growing wisely all along the way. There are songs about this process, and music is one of the ways we pray. One of these songs is called Old Furry Sings the Blues. It's a beautiful song dedicated to Furry Lewis. Does anyone know Furry Lewis? Walter E. Furry Lewis. He's gone from us now, but he lived a lovely life. He was at peace with the world when he died in Memphis in 1981. He spent his life in music, which is to say that he spent his life in prayer. As an artist in the country blues tradition, he played with the likes of Bessie Smith and Alger Texas Alexander and Blind Lemon Jefferson. He was an elder, he was a sage, and on his beautifully aged face, he wore a map of the whole wide world. Furry Lewis played music that was legendary, and he played with the likes of W.C. Handy in the early years. Handy is known to history as the father of the blues. Furry Lewis was one of the many sons And he made a good name for himself. He got around, he saw the world, he played music in many settings. He even opened up for the Rolling Stones a couple of times when they were on tour. Lewis's authenticity, his musicality, his integrity, his sense of what was lovely and what was right, these things touched the people that he knew. They touched young artists who wrote songs for him, particularly the one that was written in the 1970s. The scene of this song is set in Memphis, Tennessee. The song takes place in the poorer side of town, in the given up and broken down part of that old city, on Beale Street, which used to be the very heart of everything, which used to be the living heart of us. In its prime, Old Beale Street had been the very center of life in Memphis, but over time it lost its stylish ways. It happens when you're 61. It happens when we're 21. It happens all along our lives. The song starts like this. Old Beale Street is coming down, and Sweetie's snack bar is boarded up now, and Eggles the tailor and the Shine Boy's gone, faded out with ragtime blues. Handy is cast in bronze, and he's standing in a little park with a trumpet in his hand like he's listening back to the good old bands. And the click of high-heeled shoes. Old Furry sings the blues, propped up in his bed with his dentures and his leg removed. And Ginny's there for her kindness and for Furry's beer. She's the old man's angel overseer. Can you see the picture that the songwriter is painting? The broken down shops and the boarded up old houses on a street that's slowly losing its old ways. The bronze statue of a man who still remembers the pawn shops that glittered like gold-toothed caps in the gray decay. They'd shoo the last few dollars off of old Beale Street's carcass. Carrion and Mercy. Blue and silver sparkling drums, cheap guitars, eye shades and guns aimed at the hot blood of being no one. And he still remembers the diamond boys and the satin dolls, the bourbon laughter, the ghosts. History falls to parking lots and shopping malls as they tear down old Beale Street. Furry sings the blues, and he points a bony finger at you and says, I don't like you. And everybody laughs like it's the old man's standard joke, but it's true. We're only welcome for our drink and smoke. We are not friends here. We're more like tourists or clients, more like generous patrons at best, but not friends. Friendship means knowing Walter's life, and that takes time. More time than we have as song-bound visitors to Memphis. More time than we have as prayer-bound visitors. Hey, did you hear the news about Michigan this week? Dr. El Said won the Democratic primary for Senate, although they vastly outspent him, $11 to 1. Some say he's full of beans. That's not the word that they used. Some say he's full of beans, but my God, he's so refreshing. Whether or not he wins, he's returning something to us, something that we've lost. He's restoring something. Dr. Abdul Rahman Muhammad Saeed. They're poking fun of him because of the Muslim name that his parents gave him at birth. But he doesn't care, and he said so. He said, when you don't have ideas, all you have is hate. But here's the reality of it, he said. My name is not raising your gas prices. My name is not the reason we're in an illegal war. My name is not the reason that you can't afford health care. My name is not the reason that you can't afford your rent or your insurance. Their bad ideas are. Bad ideas. That's not what we need right now. Years ago, I wrote a song about bad ideas, a song called True Believer. I wrote it in 2003. We had just gone to war in Iraq. I ran into a woman in the airport who was in the military. She wore fatigues and combat boots. Our eyes met. They locked. I couldn't help but think how much I didn't like the war and still don't, and that registered on my face. My face registered my dislike. I couldn't hide it. It showed on my face, and the woman in the military saw it, the woman in fatigues and combat boots. She saw my judgment, and she did not deserve to be the object of it. So I put down my pack, and I put down my guitar, and I gestured to her, "I'm sorry, and thank you." And she smiled, and she said it was fine. Soon enough, I was on my way, but I thought about that moment for hours. I thought about that woman for the rest of the day, and I imagined being that woman. I imagined the life that I might lead, the allegiances I might have, and then I wrote a song about what I imagined in the context of a war that I thought was wrong. I wrote, "I want to fight these wars of guns and bad ideas with the one hand over my heart. I want to fight these wars for the ones that I hold dear, defend the glory for the brave and living free. I want to free this war of oil and masquerade as a welcomed liberator. And I want to be this war. But the cause has been unmade, and now the story needs a reason to truly be. Oh, I tried to say that I truly believed that deep in my heart I'd had an answer." That was the chorus. That was the refrain. It was a quotation, an homage, an honoring of a civil rights era song called "We Shall Overcome." Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome some. An earlier version of that song was more poignant to me, an earlier version of it that said, "Oh, if in my heart I do not yield." I honored both versions in the song called True Believer, the wise version and the gentler version, because we need both energies, because we need all energies when we're standing up to bad ideas. We need each other more than we have before. What we need right now are not bad ideas, but good ones. We don't need a politics of hatred. We need a power of love. We need something that can help us to recover what we have lost, something that can return what we've surrendered over time, something that can deliver that for which we are deeply longing. This is why I've been thinking about Old Beale Street and Prairie Lewis. I long to recover what has been lost. Hate diminishes us. Hatred tears us apart. If we were wiser beings, we would more deeply feel this loss. Thank God we are not wiser beings. I don't know if I could take the pain of that. If we were gentler beings, we might see things more clearly than we do now. Thank God that we are not more gentle beings. The Gospel of Matthew says that we need to be as wise as serpents and as gentle as doves. It does not say that we need to be more wise or more gentle, but as wise and as gentle as serpents as doves. We are enough. In other words, according to the Gospel of Matthew, you are enough just as you are. You will be enough as you continue to grow and change. You don't need to create false urgency around yourself. You need only be yourself, honestly. How did Mary Oliver put it in the poem that she wrote? You don't have to be good. You don't have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. This is a poem about belonging, about longing to belong. It is a poem about strength and grace and the heritage that comes with knowing our place in the family of things. So the best questions to ask are clear. What is the soft animal of the body? And what does it love? What is the soft animal of my body? And what does it love? These are subtle questions. Among the most intimate questions that one can ask, the politics of hatred scares the subtle and the intimate away. It fractures us from ourselves. I need that part of myself back. The politics of hatred injures us because that which is subtle, meaning that which is wise in the Gospel of Matthew, and that which is intimate, meaning that which is gentle in the Gospel of Matthew. These are the things of a revolutionary spirit, and they can be threatening to the powers that be. This love, this revolutionary love, is strong enough to reorder the powers that be. So then hatred is effective when it can scare away the revolution, when it can scare away what threatens it. Hatred is effective when it keeps what is wise and what is gentle under wraps, when it keeps it silent if possible. But hatred always fails. In the end, it never works. As Marianne Williamson reminds us, what man intends for evil, God intends for good. She was quoting from Genesis in order to say, that which is wise and that which is gentle will prevail. Now, I'm not political about the Senate race in Michigan. I am personally, but not as a minister. What I love about what's happening is that we're having a conversation that we weren't having before. What I love about what's happening is that we've found a way to become slightly more honest with ourselves. The song I quoted earlier ends with this particular passage. The songwriter says, almost confessionally, W.C. Handy, she's talking directly to the father of the blues. W.C. Handy, I'm rich and I'm fey. Do you know what fey means, the word fey? Anybody? It's in slang, it's au fait. I say that begrudgingly. It's a derision. It's a derogatory word meaning white. The songwriter is Joni Mitchell, and she sings, W.C. Handy, I'm rich and I'm fey. And I'm really not familiar with what you played, but I get such strong impressions of your heyday looking up and down Old Beale Street. The ghosts of the Darktown society. You know what a Darktown was? The Darktown was a segregated city. The ghosts of a Darktown society come right out of the bricks at me. Like it's a Saturday night, they're in their finery, dancing it up and making deals. Ferry sings the blues, and why should I expect that old guy to give it to me true? He's fallen to hard luck and time and other thieves, while my limo is shining on his shanty streets. Old Ferry sings the blues. What if you were Ferry Lewis? And what if you were W.C. Handy? And what if we, all of us, were the city of Memphis? We, the fallen city, rising. It would be easier to talk about what happens in the city. It would be logical, unsurprising, unoffensive, to talk about what happens in the city, what happens in the polis, polis being the ancient Greek word for city. We could talk about community, we could talk about the city, we could talk about the polis, and the politics that allow that city to thrive. Not in hateful tones, but in loving ones. In a world that asks us to live such isolated lives, we'd speak far more lovingly of beloved community. We're probably going to go through some changes coming up over the next few years. Changes that will call upon us for our bravery, for our compassion, for our strength, for our beauty. It will not announce it in those terms. It will probably announce it like vulgar stories in the news, to which our hearts and souls feel like responding. But when our response is based on the beautiful things of spirit, our chances of success are high. In the Bible, they say wise men build their house on a rock. When our grounding is love, what could be more beautiful than this? I want to close with a poem from, what's her name? Blue Rider. Mm. Mm-mm. I'll remember it. It's so much close to Marion Williamson. It's getting in my way. So it's a Williamson. I'll get her first name back to you. But she writes. She is a sort of a new agey kind of person. So she likes to meditate in a room with crystals. I was thinking about your ringing of the bell this morning. So if you want to know the power of this woman, just think about how powerful that bell was. It was like, meditate! But she writes that the crystal is turning slowly, spinning lightly colored loom, and my mind is turning on you like rainbows around the room. I was out there seeking water when you were coming up for air, when it began to dawn on us how much the heart can care, and I do care for you. I love you, she sings. I'll be there for you. I love you, she sings. Drink the water that I'll bear for you. Like an island rising, we are coming slowly from the sea, causing tidal waves to beat and causing some catastrophe. The damage done, another sun will rise and shine the day. When I think about the gifts that I am given by a woman who is in deepest grief in New Jersey, hoping that her husband will come home from a detention center in my home state, it's a choice, and a courageous choice, and perhaps the most beautiful and difficult choice to make, to enter into that conversation knowing soul level deep that another sun will rise and shine the day. This is a soul choice that we make according to our gift. I'm not going to tell you what to believe. I'm going to ask you to be as honest as you can with yourself and to not lose faith in that beautiful, precious, quiet, still, small voice within you that says, yes, there is a better way, and together we can build that better way. Like an island rising, we are coming slowly from the sea, causing tidal waves to beat and causing some catastrophe. The damage done, another sun will rise and shine the day. May this be our vision in the more beautiful world, in the more perfect union that we will build together. May be so, blessed be, and amen.